guys, it's Beth here with Aging Care Solutions, offering professional experience and personal guidance for caregivers, families, and seniors, all traveling the care journey. Today, as the title indicates, I want to talk about whether it's time to retire from driving or ask your parent to retire from driving. This is a very sensitive topic because the idea of driving brings pride, it brings freedom, it brings a sense of independence, but it also can bring a huge liability and a risk to families and anybody that's driving a 2,000-pound vehicle. What I noted personally, two things happened to my family. One was that my grandmother, who was in her 90s at the time, noticed that one of her neighbors who lived in the apartment in the same building that she did went in reverse and banged into her building. Now, this woman was 10 years younger than my grandmother, so she was 85. My grandmother was 95, something like that. Or she was 80 and my grandmother was 90 at the time. She said, well, if she's going to drive really bad, I shouldn't be driving anymore. And it was just like that she decided she wasn't going to drive anymore. So her car sat in the parking lot. I don't know how many years, but it sat there for quite a while because my grandmother gave it to my brother, and it was like a Chrysler K car. And my brother, when I think about this, it cracks me up because it was like a little old lady car. But my brother said, this car is a chick magnet, and it wasn't. But it was just really funny. He said he had to get new tires because they were square. That's how long the car sat. Oh my gosh. Anyway, she recognized that. And the other personal family experience was that my mother had dementia. And it wasn't until my grandmother passed at the age of 97, and I was tasked with helping coordinate all of the services and just coordinating the family, notifying everybody and being there, that I noticed that my mother really was struggling. And it brought me great fear knowing that she was driving, that she was going here and there and everywhere. She was getting lost. She was supposed to be going here for Easter brunch and was driving past my aunt and uncle's house over and over, and then finally going home. She was showing up at tennis without her bag, and she was driving. So if you can imagine the fear and terror of being 5.5 hours away and knowing that that was going on. So this is exactly what an article that I read through AARP talked about, like our changes. When we change, I mean, from the age of 70, and people are still driving well into their 80s, sometimes 90s, because we are living longer. But we are also experiencing physical and cognitive changes during that time that can really affect our ability to drive safely. So it really is important for family members and adult children of those family members to really take into consideration the liability and safety of your family member, even if it's your spouse. I mean, yes, for years they were able to do it, but something might have changed. They could have gotten a diagnosis of diabetes, or maybe they are getting forgetful. There's age-related changes that, decline our vision, our hearing, our reaction time, making driving more challenging. I don't even like to drive at night now. I mean, I do, but at the same time, I'm not as comfortable as I would be during the day when I feel like I have much clearer vision. But there's conditions like arthritis, like I said, diabetes, if you've got a congestive heart failure, or just even whatever type of heart problem impacting your driving. And then you couple that with a bunch of different medications. I mean, if you're on high blood pressure medication and you take it, it can make you dizzy. There's different things that it can do to you. Other medications can make you drowsy or impair your judgment. So I think all of that bears, really looking into it, making sure that as somebody does continue to drive. We had a neighbor in my neighborhood when I was growing up, and the man was legally blind, and he was still driving. And we were like, everybody get off the road, Joe's driving. I mean, it was kind of a joke, but it wasn't a joke. I mean, it's crazy to think that. And then I had one other professional, as you may know, if you've seen my other videos, that I've been a senior care advisor and a senior care specialist for 20 years. And I had a very well-to-do couple that lived down at a very fancy assisted living in Bethesda, Maryland. And their son was an attorney. I had a meeting with them. I met with them often because I was in that building. I had different clients that lived there. And the father refused to stop driving. And the last time that he drove, he was going to Washington to his favorite Greek restaurant to pick up a to-go order because he loved the food and he wanted to bring it back home. Well, he ended up in Williamsburg, Virginia. The state troopers found him. They put out a silver alert. He was found, and that was the last time he drove. And it was lucky that that's all that happened, that they found him that far away, 3 hours away. But it just shows that, I made the decision for my mother that she wasn't driving because I basically kidnapped her and moved her from upstate New York to Maryland so that she could be safely managed and live a healthier, happier life. She was isolating herself, and she was slowly becoming forgetful, and just was not a good candidate to drive anymore. So I told her, "You're the princess. I'm going to drive you everywhere now." So, some different things that you can do. I would always enlist the help of a doctor. Honestly, if your parent, like most people of that generation, listen to their attorney, their financial advisor, and their doctors. So if you think that your dad is unable to continue to drive, or your mother is maybe at high risk for driving and being a hazard to herself or others, then I would ask for that doctor to write a simple letter on their letterhead, just saying, if you were my parent, I would advise that you stop driving. Here are some options, and there's going to be Lyft and Uber and Metro Access, and sometimes there's volunteer programs through the senior centers or their churches, or they have a friend that goes that's younger and they can go grocery shopping together. The kids, the grandkids can help assist. And that's the other thing. I would think the greatest test is to ask, would you feel safe? Would you think that your children would be safe if you let them drive with your aging parent? And if the answer is no, a resounding no, then you know that it's time for this new stage of life to begin, and that is to have someone help them get to where they need to go. I'm trying to think of anything else. Obviously, going and qualifying for your new driver's license is a real indicator if someone's vision is impaired, or they don't do well on their retest. And if someone's having difficulty with basic tasks, like, basic driving tasks such as turning or merging, or they're timing their stops, or even trying to park. I mean, there's one of the largest independent senior living communities is right here in the state of Maryland off Georgia Avenue here outside D.C. And right outside that huge community is a giant grocery store, and every single car is banged up. They all can, nobody can really drive. It's like they pull in, they hit a car, they back up, they hit another car. It's crazy, but it happens. So I would say the liability of it is so great that it would only stand to reason that eventually this is something that has to happen. And if you've got such worries about it, these are just a few of the tips, enlisting the help of one of their professionals that they would listen to, and then also just volunteering to get them, if they need to go to the store once a week and you live within if you are able to do it. I hired people. I mean, I called people and asked them to help me do it until she was moved. So there are a number of different options out there, and I ask you to consider all of them. I wish you all the best. I hope that this was helpful information. Please subscribe. Help me start to grow this channel so that I can bring more pertinent information to families like you who are caregivers or aging and wondering, what is this going to look like for me as we continue this aging journey? So I wish you all the very best. I'll see you at the next video.